Hi, I'm Brian Lord, Senior Vice President of Premier Speakers Bureau. I'm proud to welcome on Susan Ershler, veteran Fortune 500 sales and leadership expert and part of the first husband and wife team to summit Mount Everest. Susan, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Brian.
Now, one of your most popular presentations is Reaching New Heights. What's the main focus of that?
Reaching New Heights we take the audience on a journey where we're going after big personal and professional dreams and all the obstacles that you encounter along the way. Specifically, when I was 35 years old, I was a single business person working in corporate America. I had never hiked or climbed, and a client of ours introduced me to my husband, who's an international mountain guide. And before I knew it, I started climbing around the world. But during that 10-year period when we climbed the 7 summits, I was also climbing the corporate ladder. And so this presentation is about going after those dreams and all the obstacles and challenges that you encounter along the way, and then what made it successful.
The other great things about you too is that have this great veteran presence as a sales executive. Do you have any speeches that focus mainly on sales groups and your experience there?
Yes, I sure do, Brian. Conquering the 7 Summits of Sales is one that works very, very well with sales organizations. And what that is about is the strategies and the techniques in going after very large corporate revenue objectives and how that works. Again, we do this by telling a story, by taking the audience on a journey. And specifically for me, I was working on a revenue objective every single year that I was climbing one of the 7 summits. And believe me, the parallels are so similar. The vision drives activity, one step at a time in climbing. That's one thing we find with a lot of corporations is they're going after such huge objectives. And if people don't believe it, then they tend to walk away. But if we break it down to something we can address today and the next step tomorrow, eventually we're going to reach the summit of a very large mountain, or we're going to reach a very large revenue objective.
Now, being a sales guy, that's one of those things that kind of resonated with me. I remember part of your presentation is 88, 48, and 300 million. And hitting those two goals together was great.
Yes, yeah. In fact, that's what really my life came down to, Brian. I had this big dream in that I wanted to climb Everest, which is 8,848 meters or 29,035 feet,
Uh-huh.
29,035 feet. And I wanted to reach the $300 million revenue objective. So those were my two numbers. And we use that in the presentation a lot because one thing that if we can just boil things down to something pretty simple, and that is to focus on those numbers every day and ask yourself, is the activity I'm about to engage in going to help me reach and blow away one of those numbers? If not, delegate it, outsource it, spend less time on it. So we're working on the prioritized activities. That was so critical.
One of the great things, too, about your presentation, a lot of times event planners already have an event theme in mind. How are they able to take your event theme, though, if they need one, how are they able to take your event theme and apply it to their event?
Yeah, actually, a lot of clients are starting to use climbing as a great theme for their meeting. There's many reasons why. One is it's so perfectly paralleled to going after big business objectives. You can have a picture of a mountain on a wall. You can track your progress of your team. You can use base camp as your first quarter. Next camp is the second quarter. You can track your results on that. There's so many great parallels, and it just makes it exciting. The other great thing is, and clients have done this, is they'll bring snow into the room and they'll bring cold air. It's hard to take the oxygen out of the room, but they can do all the other things, and it really feels like you're there. And it just makes for a very exciting theme. And honestly, because we've climbed the 7 summits, the highest mountain on each one of the 7 continents, some very big corporations have taken that theme, and each year they climb a bigger mountain each year.
We always like to have takeaways. Event planners, they want to make sure that people walk out of there different than they were before. What are some of the takeaways that attendees have after hearing you speak?
Well, in both of my presentations, what I did, and I think you can tell, I wasn't a professional climber. And when I started this, so what I did is I fell back on my business life, and what my business life, the strategy that we used to reach top performance and to blow away revenue objectives every year, really I boiled it down to 3 words, which are project, prepare, and persevere. Project meaning project your future, have a really clear vision of where you're going, put a plan together, and then persevere. If we can do those 3 things, and that's what we build the presentation around, and there's a lot of different angles to those project, prepare, persevere. But if we can do those 3 things and over, we can reach any big goal or dream. So those are the takeaways. I also obviously work very close with the client to weave their messages into those 3 principles. And if they're wanting to stress teamwork, or they're wanting to stress, focus on the vision, or spending more time with the client, less time on administrative activities. We go through all of that, and I make sure that I hit those key messages in project, prepare, persevere. So again, people in that audience walk away with strategies and techniques that they can use to go after their big dreams and also to go after big revenue objectives.
One of the things that we're really big on here at Premier is making sure event planners look good and that we make their lives easier. They've got enough stuff to worry about us without us, adding on to it. What are some of the ways that you make an event planner's life easier or make an event planner look good?
Yes, and that's, I feel, my job. And I'll give you an example, actually. 2 weeks ago, I was presenting for a large corporation, and they did use climbing as their theme. And at the end of the presentation, I feel lucky. We had a big standing loud ovation. And as I walked off the stage, the director of the meeting, she hugged me and she whispered in my ear, she said, "You made us look excellent." And again, I told her, I said, that's my job. And I believe that there's a couple of reasons. One is every time I speak, my goal is to truly resonate with that audience. And to do that, I need to understand them. I need to know them. I need to learn as much as I can from their leadership and everything else. And so resonating with the audience is huge, but also we have to get the messages across that the leadership wants included in that presentation. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just a lot of homework, a lot of studying before we get there and do the presentation to make sure that we're saying the right things to the right audience and that it sticks and that it resonates. So I think that's one big, huge thing. There's many other things, of course, making sure that the client knows that we're there, being very easy to work with. I've heard that there might be divas out there that we're not going to do. We're just really trying to make their job. They've got so much going on, especially during that time frame, that they should not be worrying about us.
Mm-hmm. Well, Susan, thanks so much again for doing this interview, and look forward to working with you and helping connect you with clients.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it and look forward to exciting 2012.